Tonight's bedtime's second story is called Mr. Mean's Good Deed, read by the same artists. Poor Miss Sunshine. It was Christmas Eve, and she had a cold. Tucked up in her armchair, she shivered and sniffled and snuffled and sneezed. A tissue! Somebody was particularly worried about Miss Sunshine. Can you guess who that might be? It was Mr. Worry, of course. Happy Christmas, Mr. Worry, snuffled Miss Sunshine to her friend, who had called to see how she was feeling. This is for you, but don't open it until tomorrow morning, as she handed Mr. Worry a beautifully wrapped present. But as soon as Mr. Worry left his friend's house, he started to worry. He worried about what could be in the parcel. He worried about Miss Sunshine's cold, and he was worried about her being by herself, and he worried that he might catch her cold. So much to worry about. Suddenly he had an idea. He went and knocked on Mr. Mean's door. "Happy Christmas, Mr. Mean," he said. "Miss Sunshine has a cold. Could you sit with her and keep her company?" "How much will you pay for that? How much will you pay me for that?" asked Mr. Mean, most annoyed about being disturbed. Mr. Worry was surprised. I thought you would do it out of kindness," she said. "Out of kindness?" exclaimed Mr. Mean, and slam! He shut the door in Mr. Worry's face. Oh dear. Come on. 1 minute, guys. Mr. Mean went to bed. He fell asleep and began to dream. "Wake up, Mr. Mean. I need to show you something," said a voice. "But protested Mr. Mean, when he realized that a strange person had pulled him out of his bed and was taking him out of his room. It was a wizard. Mr. Mean had no choice but to go with the wizard. It's well known that it is difficult to resist a wizard's powers. A few moments later, Mr. Mean found himself in front of Miss Sunshine's window. In the middle of the room he saw Miss Sunshine. Next to her was a beautiful Christmas tree covered in lights, and all around her were friends, smiling and laughing. "Happy Christmas to all," cried Miss Sunshine. "She doesn't look very ill to me," complained Mr. Mean to the wizard. "What you are seeing is last Christmas," replied the wizard. "Do you remember what a good time we all had? And if nobody looks after her..." This is what this Christmas would look like. All of a sudden, Mr. Mean woke up. Tears poured down his cheeks. "I've just had a terrible nightmare," he cried. "Poor Miss Sunshine. She is someone who always loves to see happiness all around her." The next morning, Mr. Worry opened his present from Miss Sunshine. "A telephone! What a good idea," said the delighted Mr. Worry. "From now on, when I am worried, I can share my worry with someone. In fact, I'm very worried about Miss Sunshine." And he dialed her number. "I'm feeling much better, thank you," said Miss Sunshine. "Mr. Mean made me laugh so much that I've quite forgotten my cold." Mr. Mean had gone to visit Miss Sunshine. Mr. Worry couldn't believe it. How could somebody as miserable as Mr. Mean cheer up Miss Sunshine? It gave Mr. Worry a great deal to worry about. "He even bought food for Christmas lunch," continued Miss Sunshine. "Mr. Mean bringing food?" Mr. Worry was more worried than ever. "And he bought me a piece of coal," continued Miss Sunshine, laughing. "We managed to get a small fire burning, but as I didn't have a present to give to Mr. Mean, I told him to dance as my Christmas present to him. I haven't had such a good day for a long time." And Mr. Mean was delighted. He had done a good deed, and he had learned how to dance without spending any money. Time for one more story.